So
Oh, so?
I've spent way too much money on Christmas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this always happens when I start too early.
Yeah.
I ended up spending just an absolute absurd amount of money.
Why?
Well,
Yeah,
well, I mean, I love Christmas.
yeah, I know you do.
Let's be honest. How much do you think is normal to spend on Christmas?
Like per person or just in general?
We'll go both. What would you spend on a significant other?
Significant other, man, that can be a lot. It depends on how good the gift is and how much I'm like stoked on giving it. Because I like giving gifts to people that are like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Blow them out.
Well,
Yeah.
just like, so it's very clear that it's like, hey, I took time and thought about you.
Sure.
Rather than like, hey, here's some candy. You know what I mean? But
Here's some junk in a sock.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
I got home early last night and caught Rowan making me pickled pig's feet for Christmas.
Ooh.
okay.
That's the reaction I expected, Kevin. Here we are.
What the fuck?
It's a childhood
I'm already
treat
glad I brought Christmas up.
it's a childhood treat that doesn't exist anymore. Like you can't find it around here.
This is
For a few reasons. But it was your childhood treat?
Yeah, my mom would buy them in like a little bucket.
What?
At this like crazy before Bulk Barn
What?
existed, there's a store that had like little baggies of like shit everywhere, and it smelled like cardamom and cumin in this Bulk Barn hut store thing in New Brunswick, and she'd buy this like little tub of pickled pig's feet, and they were like the coolest treat. And Rowan's made me some.
What is going on in the Maritimes?
Crazy stuff.
So like you didn't react to this the way that I did. Is this something you know about?
I've heard of this.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's
I've heard
great,
of this.
Kevin. You would love it.
I probably would, but
do you
just
like,
the
do you like pickles?
yeah.
Do you like olives?
No.
I want to.
Do you like the little like kneecappy tender bits on like the ends of chicken wings and things?
No.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I avoid
but-
those.
yeah,
I should
fair.
say
Which
that
I shouldn't,
when
but I
people
do
talk
avoid
about
them.
Canada, I don't think about like where we live, right? Like I feel like we're pretty well America here.
Yeah, we are.
But like if you go to the Maritimes,
There's a whole
or
culture there,
or
man.
even Ontario,
Yeah.
some parts of Ontario, not the big cities, but
No,
like
the little ones.
sticks,
The Letterkennies.
Yeah, like that's where real Canada is.
When you're trading when you're trading a bucket of mackerel for a bucket of lobster
There
because
you
they
go.
use mackerel in the lobster traps as bait. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the Maritimes.
very
Wow.
authentically Canada, and people talk more Irish sounding.
Yeah.
You know, it's got more of a sing-song kind of
Yeah, I
sound
can't
to it.
understand it. I legitimately can't. I
But,
mean,
like,
maybe a
I mean,
little bit.
You're,
But
you're thinking Newfie. And
Yeah,
then,
I am.
And then Cape Breton's like ultralight Newfie, and the New Brunswick is pretty neutral.
Nova Scotia's pretty. Yeah,
Mostly just Cape Breton. Mainland Nova Scotia is pretty normal.
I had
Yeah,
a bit
Halifax is
of
pretty
an accent
chill.
when I moved out here. People would always call me on. But
Yeah. Only when you say you're going to drive your car to the bar,
yeah,
but it's not too far.
drive my car to the bar.
Hi there, bye.
Anyway, how much money is
right.
is fair for a significant other?
For a significant other, I mean,
I
again,
don't want to lose this.
the
thread.
range is pretty broad.
Yeah.
But I would say a couple $100 is like probably norm.
What would you think?
I'm new to Christmas.
Yeah.
So, like, all I got Rowan this year was a $30 T-shirt.
Wow.
But I also got her. I bought her a house this year, and
Right.
I spent $8,000 on her kitchen.
The gift that keeps on giving.
So yeah, I think she's good.
Yeah.
So like 300,000
Yeah,
is what you spent this year.
somewhere in there. Yeah.
I definitely don't do it because I feel like the person deserves it or anything like that. It's like it's almost like
You don't deserve
a
this.
morbid ritual that I take part in, where it's like I'm doing it almost
Self-flagellation based.
something like that.
Totally.
Like it's like, but it's
I'm
also
going to wound myself this amount of money for them.
a
That's right.
contest against myself every
Okay.
year, where it's like, can I outdo what I did last
Look
year?
how much
yeah,
I've
yeah.
bled for you.
Ultimately driven by consumerism.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And
It's
I'm
like
in no
every
denial.
Christmas movie you're talking about right now.
Jingle all the way.
Yes.
Good Lord.
Well, I watched that the other day. That's
you
not
want
really
a turbo, man?
That's not really outdoing. That's just a terrible father kind of
And a wooden
making
wife
it
and
work.
son.
Yeah.
Good Lord, those were bad actors.
Yeah, but fun movie, but he is a criminal. Do you remember that there's a bomb?
Yep.
Like
Yeah, the
that,
bomb explodes
Yeah, the
from
bomb
the building.
explodes. Like Sinbad has like a bomb accidentally on him, and that was just
Yeah.
a joke.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah,
couldn't-
people send bombs in the
You
mail.
couldn't have any part of that movie anymore. Like,
wild.
what's his name? The guy who played Troy McClure on.
Yeah, Phil Hartman being
Phil
an
Hartman.
absolute rapist.
Yeah, being an absolute rapist.
Yeah, I know, that's
and-
wild.
And it's just kind of a funny joke.
Yeah,
right?
he's the neighborhood rapist.
Yeah, he does this to all the women.
Yeah, legit. It's wild, man.
Put down that cookie.
Yeah.
That's the best moment.
Who said you can eat my cookie?
Anyway, I don't want to get too off on that tangent.
Oh, we should have done a reaction to that movie.
I think we tried
Oh,
to.
yeah, we did try to.
But it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been worth the work.
It's too much effort.
So anyway, the only reason I brought up the money thing was because I had a coworker who was normally him and his wife or girlfriend or whatever. They don't do Christmas like gifts. They buy each other, like they'll buy an appliance for the house kind of thing that they've needed,
Or a vacation, probably.
something
That seems
like
like a
that.
better way to spend
yeah,
money.
like they'll do something like that, right? So his girlfriend or wife or whatever it is has been influenced by Christmas culture, and now she wants gifts this year.
Oh.
So he's trying to figure out what the appropriate amount to spend on gifts is because they've never done it before. And he asked me, and I was like, "Oh no, you don't want to ask me. You go compare against someone else. You don't want to be in my league of Christmas."
So what's your number?
This year,
Yeah.
I probably spent close to $4,000 on Christmas.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking he spent like $4,000.
Yeah, I'm in between 35 and $4,000 on
Nice.
Christmas, and it didn't even phase me
Why?
because I did it over time, right? Like I was just
Slow
like,
death.
well, I was
Death
just
by
adding it
1,000
up,
cuts.
and I'm like, holy
Death by
shit!
4,000 cuts.
It's just $4,000 worth of gift cards to Rocky Mountain Tattoo.
Yeah. Just
Well, there was one gift card. Well, that was my mom paid for that, the Dave one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which might be another noose for him.
Yeah, oh man. That's where like I'm stoked to do that, but at the same time,
Once it begins.
Well,
my
even
God.
just casually talking, he used to kind of hide it, but now he's just like, yeah, I'm in the overdraft on
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not ideal circumstance.
Basically walking with gunshots all the way through him at any given minute.
I don't know what that phrase means, but yes,
well,
I
like
understand.
bullet holes.
Oh.
Like he's at the end of his rope every minute.
Yeah.
Crikey.
He's comfortable there.
Well, he's been doing it for a while.
Some people wouldn't know how to feel comfortable without that pressure.
Yeah.
Some people need that straight jacket of
Terrifies me.
financial failure to go on.
It kind of keeps pressure on them and like,
That's what makes them get up in the morning.
yeah, mindful, and you have to be cognizant of every
My-
dollar you spend.
My family was always like that. Everyone was. I'm like the only one who's ever not been in debt like that. I've been close, but like I never let myself get there. I took a pay advance one time in my life because I had to get out of a place real quick, and I didn't have the money for a down payment, and I felt immense shame at that. Even that was the only time I've ever taken a loan type of thing. Was 10 years ago, but I never want to be there again. So when I'm spending that kind of money on Christmas, I'm like, maybe I need to stop doing this.
Probably.
I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep upping it, because like I think last year I only did like $3,000,
Yeah.
25,
Only.
$3,000.
Only
well,
$3,000.
It was
Only.
COVID last year,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't have as much money to use.
Actually, you had more, weirdly enough.
Yes,
You
and
worked
no.
more than most.
Yeah. Well, especially this time last year.
Yeah.
I was fucking hustling hard.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
I'm still keeping that pace, but like I don't need to anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't needed to in a while, and I'm like, why stop though? Right? But anyway, I spent a ton of money on Christmas, and so this guy shouldn't be comparing with me. I told him. I said,
Yeah.
now I'm on a mission to figure out who he should be comparing with. So I've been asking everyone, what's normal to spend on Christmas? Because I know mine isn't. You should see my
mean-
tree. It's like overflowing with gifts out all over the place.
I did spend like $400 or $500. We're leaving tomorrow to go, and that's including gas and stuff. We're leaving tomorrow to go to Rowan, find a little cottage in the woods somewhere we can go hang out for a couple nights.
Nice.
Little getaway.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like
That
that.
sounds like a very Scott Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, like-
yeah.
Like,
Cottage in the woods.
pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
Well, it's like we have no kids.
yeah.
Yeah, time to get the heck out of town for a minute. Because
Yeah.
like,
Well, the minute you have a kid for Christmas, because I know you don't do Christmas for them because they don't believe in Santa Claus, right?
oh, we do Christmas for them.
You do?
Yeah,
How
and they
much-
believe in
how-
Santa,
okay, so
and
then
they
that
believe in Santa
changes
Claus
things.
this year. Who the heck knows?
So how much do you spend on them then?
Dude, they're young, so it's like $8 in Lego here, $3. Like honestly, I got Augie like a really fluffy fur vest at the thrift store for like $5, and he's gonna love the crap out of that. I buy them knockoff Lego from Bianca Moore's. Like you can load up their Christmas tree. It's like they each got 8 metric fuck ton of gifts, and Ronan and I combined probably spent $400 on those gifts. Yeah.
So then your number goes up a bit.
Oh yeah, I still spend like $1,500 probably if I include the getaway thing. And I paid for the Christmas tree, and I did a few things here and there.
I like how his tally's just going up, and he's just like, yeah, I don't really do Christmas,
Oh yeah.
but
Well, I mean, I
happens,
definitely
man.
do Christmas now. I just don't have a history with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
I do all kinds of Christmas stuff too. Like we used to do Santa Claus pictures every year.
yeah,
We don't do it anymore because I'm not wearing a mask in a Santa Claus photo.
yeah. Like, what's the point?
Well, it's just you're already in the absurdity, and then you're adding another layer of silly.
I think it'd be almost better to document this one as that. You know
well,
what I
that
mean?
we skipped it last year, and then we didn't bother with it this year. But we did it.
Ivan's a bit old for that anyway, right? Like,
Well, I always said I would do it until he said no.
They'll keep going. There's 18-year-olds that go do that.
Well,
Seriously, they just love the shtick of it. So
yeah,
The
I'm
best
gonna name
was
it.
the year that I was going through like heavy blackout change, right? 2019. I went to see him, and he's like, "Your tattoos have changed a lot," because it was the same Santa.
That's funny.
They always use the same Santa at Park Place, so he's just like, "Oh wow,
You
you
go to
look
the
a lot
mall for
different."
Santa pictures.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
where you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, I assumed you were like getting dressed up or something.
they've got
No.
They've gotten so much more expensive though. When I started doing it, it was like $5.
You have to.
See? You have to pay.
You have to pay
There's
Santa.
a whole bunch of this stuff that is insane. But
Yeah.
it's a thing. You go to the mall, you wait in line, you pay your money, you sit on this guy's lap.
He gives you a candy cane.
Yeah, he gives you a candy cane, and then
Yeah.
you get a photo out of it.
Yeah, he basically gives you a candy cane, waves, fuck off, and here comes the next little brat.
Legit. That's
The-
a thing.
The guy gets his beard and hair tailored at the same place I got my hair cut. And I guess he used to work with my stepdad in the military. So
Crazy.
this Santa gets around. Right? He's pretty good though. He's
Well,
a
I
pretty
mean,
good
you
Santa.
know, he
That's
does
the definition
hit.
of Santa.
He does hit every person's house within one night.
Fair.
So, yeah, he
I
gets
did watch
around.
the Santa Claus,
The Tim Allen one.
the Tim Allen,
Yeah.
Still haven't watched
last
that
week.
one this year.
So that was pretty magical.
Yeah, I like
So now
that
I
one.
understand how Santa Claus works.
Yeah, you got
We
it.
watched Muppets Christmas Carol last night.
Nice.
We watched Ernest Saves Christmas, of
As you
course.
should.
on
Rowan's
Monday.
never seen that.
Holy crap.
Yeah. I've got to wait until
Stop
she's
everything.
ready for a really stupid movie.
She should watch it, and then she'll understand that thing.
But see, like, I saw a variety of Ernest movies as a kid, so like I'm ready for Ernest. I don't know if she's ready for Ernest. I have to
Yeah.
like.
I don't think you could do Ernest today.
We got to wait till the mood's right.
No.
Is it
No,
it
you
kid?
can't.
Is it
Palling
kid
around
friendly
with
at
too
all?
many young girls.
Can we
Depends
show the
what you mean
kids?
by that, right?
Like, we show them a lot
yes, but at the same time, some of the concepts that they just include.
The kids are okay with that crap.
Yeah, then you're fine. Yep, it's like it's meant for kids technically.
Okay, great. Then we're good.
Yeah,
We
It's
show,
just
we show,
like
we show them
wild.
stuff that's not meant for
standards,
kids.
though.
Yeah.
Good luck.
They watch semi-adult cartoons.
They watch what now?
They watch cartoons intended for adults and handle it pretty fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about like adult content necessarily. It's about Ernest is creepy in a certain
Yep.
way of thinking. Like if you look at him by our standards today, it's like, why is he palling around with this young girl?
Yep.
Like, what is in it for him? Why does he want this? She gives him a kiss on the cheek at one point, and he blushes. Like he's like flattered, like, ooh, she likes me. She's like 14 years old, dude. It's not okay.
Yeah, I know.
We discussed this.
We
in
did a
great
number of
detail.
Epstein jokes on that one.
Yeah, we did. Rowan was like, "Why is this familiar?" I'm like, "You might remember a certain
We did
clip
a-
we made at one
A
time."
classic, if you will.
Oh yeah,
I'm
depends
just
on
waiting.
who you ask.
I'm
I
just
guess.
waiting for one
not our
day.
best work.
One day, like 10 years from now, for that clip to go viral for some odd reason.
Yep.
You know, the funny thing is it could,
Yep.
but
That's the fun thing about making things and putting it out there where it's like free, because it's just like you never know.
well, I'm seeing that happen a lot with my shorts. Like sometimes, like 4 days later, they'll just take off, and I'm like, what the fuck? That was dead. I thought that was gone forever.
Yeah.
Nope. Pops up. It got linked to from some Justin Bieber short. Like
Yeah.
somehow I got suggested at the end of his, and then it just
weird.
followed that trend up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always see what people are coming to your video from in your analytics.
Yep.
And a lot of times I'll get hitched to like bigger shit, and then it'll like blow up my numbers for a minute.
Oh yeah, like Justin Bieber gets a tattoo, and
And
therefore
then
tattoos.
watch next.
And yeah.
It's like, what is that? And then they click it, and there you are. Anyway, yeah, I spent way too much money on Christmas,
Yep.
and I always wonder, like when I'm doing it, I'm like, is this going to be worth it? And
Depends what you mean by that.
Well, I'm trying to create a memory, right?
Oh.
So, for example, me and my
If
brother
you want to
have
create a memory, just get no gifts. That'll be a memory.
That'll be momentous.
Yeah.
Me and my little brother have a game we're doing every year. We've been doing it unofficially every Christmas for like the last 10 years, where we're trying to win Christmas.
Oh yeah.
So like I got him a championship belt and all this like goofy shit. Like I get him all these goofy presents, but then he'll go the other lane and get me a really good gift.
Yeah.
Sarah had to talk him out of buying me a PS5 this year.
Oh nice.
Wow.
It was like $700. She's
Yeah.
like, "Don't do it. What are you doing? You're
Well,
insane."
Why don't do it? That's fun. Like, have you seen what Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura are doing for each other?
What are they doing?
So they,
Coffee enemas again.
yeah, I mean probably, but no, like they have a birthday thing now. So it's just they buy each other ridiculous gifts, and then the next guy has to top it on the next birthday.
This
so
is essentially what we're doing.
yeah. So like he started off with like a $10,000 electric bike. Like that was like their first gift, and then Bert got him Sea-Doos afterwards, which was like 17, 18 grand. And then like now that Tom flew him on a private jet, he rented him a private jet for like the weekend and put him up at the Four Seasons for his birthday or something. And it was elaborate. It was like $30,000 or something stupid. And they're basically just trying to be like, because they have the money.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to one up each other. And I think it's hilarious. They had to cap it at 100 grand. That's where they're gonna stop.
Well, I can't go that high, but
Yeah, I know, but like going within your means and
Yeah.
doing that type of thing, that's a
Now-
blast.
It's fun to point to the experiential aspect of this. However, I find this whole gift giving thing highly inefficient.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Like, it's not a good way to use your capital.
No.
Like that.
No, God,
that money
no.
is better off invested
in
or
NFTs, I get it.
or spent on things.
on just about anything else.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
the trick.
Yeah.
But
So-
my thing is I agree it's a complete waste of money, but like I'm okay with wasting money sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all the time. I'm not the guy who's gonna be like walking through the mall and see a vending machine and I just have to have those Doritos. You know what I mean? Like that's where my money doesn't go. A lot of people, their money vanishes at gas stations
Yeah,
and
it's the
stuff,
little
like
things.
convenience.
Yeah.
I have a lot of money to spend on this shit because I spend money on almost nothing.
Yeah.
I spend money here getting tattooed and bills.
Yeah.
And everything else is mine. So that's how I end up with money to spend on this shit.
Yeah.
Right? This is my vending machine pop. You're a bad choice that you shouldn't make.
Yeah.
I just end up, I don't do gifts all through the year. I do them all on Christmas. So I'm not like the guy who, I seen this while I was out and I got it for you because I thought
Right.
of you. I would buy that gift and then wait and put it under the tree. I got my brother a gift 2 years ago, like 10 days after Christmas, that I was going to give him that Christmas coming. It was the complete Dragonheart trilogy. Do you remember the Dragonheart movie?
Yeah.
With Sean Connery? They made 2 more of those.
Why did they do that?
No one ever seen them.
First of all, the first one was perfect.
Go back and watch it
Jump
again.
on my back.
It's pretty goddamn cheesy.
It is. It's hilarious.
I'm due for a watch.
Oh my God,
It's
it's
been
the
20
best.
years.
When I seen it in a Walmart bargain bin for $5.99, I was like, this may as well have cost me $500 because we used to love that movie when we were kids.
It's
Yeah.
worth its weight in gold.
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
and then 10 years later, we were making jokes about how bad it was. And now I found him the other 2 Dragon Hearts.
That's amazing.
So,
Yeah,
like-
that's like a perfect gift.
Yeah, that ended up being one of 10 small gifts I gave him that year. But like I always go for comedy and he's always going for serious. So last year he finally went for comedy. Do you know the Stormbringer, the wrestler from around town?
Of course.
Okay, so my brother and I, when we were young, we watched wrestling. So we've always joked about that stuff together, right? So last year the Stormbringer was doing some work at King of Trade, some part-time work over there, security.
Stormbringer.
Right.
Love it.
Anyway, my brother got him to do a promo with him where they were like, Jeremy,
Awesome.
your brother's going to win Christmas this year. and they're like hulking up and looking all
He
menacing.
did a cameo.
Yeah.
That's legit. Like,
It was fucking
He did
hilarious.
a local cameo. Holy shit.
He took a video of
Yeah.
it, and that was part of my Christmas last year.
That's
and
amazing.
All of my brothers were like, you lost, son. Like, it's over for you. You can't win now.
No.
Like, he got the
The
Stormbringer.
Stormbringer. He brings storms.
Yeah, he's a little overweight and
Yeah,
a little older
he's seen
now.
better
but
days.
You'll have to organize a flash mob that's like singing in unison something to Dave.
yeah, well, this my younger brother that I'm.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, Dave was the oldest. So my younger brother and my younger brother's more like a son to me. He lived with me for most of his early adulthood.
Yep.
He only just moved out 3 years ago. And so our father was obviously not very father-like. So I ended up filling in kind of that role. My stepdad wasn't much of a father to him or me. So I did my best to kind of do that for him. I taught him a lot about life without even meaning to. So we have a different relationship than brother, I guess.
Yeah.
Where me and Dave, that's more of a brother relationship.
Yep.
And then my other brother, Nathan, well, I don't like Nathan at all. He's the only one that I would never ask to be on the podcast.
That's funny.
Yeah, he is an absolute... Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get into it too much in case the odd chance that he one day watches this.
I think we should have him on. Just so we
You
all
think
can
that
understand.
until you have him on.
Okay.
But the minute you do, you'll regret it.
I don't think I would.
He talks more than Dave, but he's calmer and more high intellect. He has no emotional intelligence to him at all. He can't read a room to save his life. So, like, if you're sitting like this and trying to get away from him, he'll be, like, pursuing you. You'll be, like, in a corner, clearly trying to leave the room, and he's, like, this close to you, talking.
As he speaks calmly and clearly.
With a
and
bizarre
just
look
gets
in his eye.
Closer and closer.
Yeah, I think I'd find that hilarious.
He,
Because it's not my existence. It's this guy's.
he
And then
spent...
he gently kisses you on the forehead.
Yeah, that sounds
No, there
soothing.
will be no gentle kissing.
Yeah.
It's all hard kissing
Yeah.
from here on in.
He spent 5 years teaching in Korea, like teaching English.
Oh.
North or south?
That explains it.
Yeah, and
Yeah. There's a certain calmness that comes with that.
he has a master's in psychology and what's below master's?
Bachelor's.
In Japanese for some reason.
Fun.
So he wanted to teach.
Went to Korea, learned Japanese.
He wanted to teach Japanese, but
Should have taken
he
geography.
was too old. You have to be younger to go to Japan, I guess. They only want young people coming
That's
over
creepy.
there.
Why aren't we talking about that? Why isn't it?
Well, that's why he went to Korea. I don't
If
know
you
why.
settle there. Oh no, there's lots of reasons that immigration has these types of rules. If you settle there, they want to use you for 30 plus years of your workable, contributable society moving forward workforce before they support you as old age. If you immigrate at 47 without bringing a seriously like PhD level skill, are you truly going to contribute enough to their society and economy before you retire?
Is that right? Right. I didn't know that. I
Absolutely
never
it
knew
is.
why they wouldn't let him go.
That's why there's working holiday visas for like Australia, New Zealand, etc. only up until 30,
My thought was
31.
just they just want young, hot Canadian teachers.
I don't know about that. He's none of those things. So
just saying.
every time I see him,
Japan as a culture.
he's grayer, pudgier, and his hair has receded more. So
Doing the slow walk.
where I feel like me, Tristan, who's my younger brother, and Dave are all kind of aging well, Nathan is aging fairly poorly.
You're sure we can't have this guy on?
He's a legal assistant to in a law firm here currently, but he doesn't have the money to move out of my mom's house. He's always saying that rent is too high in this city.
Well, I
Even
mean,
though
Wow.
rent is too high in this.
Rent is super low in this city.
he
No,
makes
it should be
about
less.
he makes about what I make, but I don't make everything I make hourly. So like he makes a lot more than me hourly. I work a lot more than him, and obviously I get tips, right?
Yeah.
So we come in around the same amount, but he's always very quick to tell everyone how much money he makes. He makes sure that all of his brothers and his parents know that he makes more than everyone, and then he still lives at mom's house. Like he's since he's come home from Korea, he's never moved out on his
That
own.
doesn't sound frustrating at all to me.
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
I still want to have him on.
Yeah, me too.
Just on a day that Kevin and I aren't here, we'll just record.
Yeah, just you two talking
Yeah.
while you shift back. in
He's
your
a
chair.
very strange character. He dressed up as a Joker for my wedding, like because we had like a costume wedding, right? But everyone at the reception was in their suits except him. He was the only one who was still in costume, and he was method acting the Joker the whole time.
Nice.
So he's like giving people like weird looks and like leaving Joker cards all over the place and shit. It was like my bosses were at my wedding, and they got sat at the same table as him, and I was
Awesome.
like, oh, the whole time.
Wow.
See, I love those, like, because, you know, when you have someone that has very low emotional intelligence, you can't read a room, it's like they committed to a bit, not understanding that bit can come and go. Like,
No,
because there's no ebb and flow with someone that has really low EQ. It's just like, I've committed to this, and it is.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of turning it off isn't even close to on their radar.
Well,
I love
and
that shit.
The capper of the Joker was my mom put together a slideshow of like a couple songs Sarah and I picked, and then pictures of us as we were growing up, and then pictures of us together, and pictures of Ivan and I, and I and Ivan, right? And the final few slides were put in there by Nathan, who helped her put this together because she was incapable of doing it on her own.
Yeah.
They were pictures of him as the Joker with a weird poem at the end that made no sense to anyone but him. That is
Awesome.
in my wedding slideshow
Awesome.
forever.
See, but that's like, you know, that's like that one spice that you never use all that often. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, for
a lot
some
of-
reason I got it here.
Lotus
and I think
skunk.
there's probably a point in time in a dish that I'll need it, but it's a
Salmonella
weird-
flakes.
It's a weird
Well-
flavor on its own.
Here's a funny Christmas story with him. We, for a few years, me and my brothers were all doing a gift draw. So like you draw the name, you get them a gift, right? And that way you're not spending crazy amounts of money on each other.
Yep.
He was the only one who rejected doing this. And when my mom pressured him to do it, because everyone else had already done it, someone already bought him a gift, he, for an hour, went into great detail about how selfish it is to give people gifts and defeating the spirit of Christmas. Like he spent an hour going through how bad Christmas is and how we're all bad for doing it, and
I can roll with that.
on a deep psychological analytical level. Like he picked it apart.
Yeah.
Like he was pulling apart a chicken or something.
Yeah.
Like it was like, okay, we'll
I
never
love that
ask
conversation.
Nathan. We'll never ask Nathan to do the gift draw again. So now, last year I got everyone gifts, right? Every single person gifts except Nathan, because he's the only one who doesn't take part in it. He was so offended.
Of course.
He went to the other room, and I guess he told my mom that no one likes me. My brothers all dislike me. They disclude me. They're always talking about all this.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well, fuck, man. You
gonna be a
didn't get anyone anything.
You going to be a pouty bitch, or are you going to act in a way that people will like you?
Well, but if you have the inability to see that, then all of a sudden you're at a deficit because you
Well,
still feel
obviously.
feelings,
Oh,
right?
no,
Like you still feel the feeling
This
that you feel.
commentary is not common sense.
Yeah.
This commentary is not something that naturally occurs to people. But this is what I want to yell at people
Oh, yeah,
who behave like that. Why does nobody like me? They should like me more, those pieces of shit. Whoa.
Well,
Are you
he's the
behaving in a
best.
likable fashion?
Yeah,
He's
are
the
you
best
behaving in a way that
human.
people like?
Of course we should like him.
Yeah.
He also knows more about music and fitness than Dave. He knows more about tattoos than me.
Naturally.
He knows more about everything you know about
So
than
you're
you do.
describing a narcissist.
It is insane dealing with him.
Gotcha.
Like whenever he comes up from the basement and enters the fray at family dinner, it's like, okay, now it's the Nathan show, and he's showing people videos he finds funny, and the volume's way too loud, and like he's talking about like just shit that clearly no one's interested in.
Just a collection of faux pas.
And it's just like you're waiting it out, but it doesn't stop. Like everyone will have left. Sometimes it'll just be Sarah, Ivan, and I there, and like my other brothers have left, and we're stuck with them, and I'm just like, how the fuck am I going to get out of here?
You just leave.
Is there any method of
That's like the legit thing with that is like you just leave.
if you put a movie on, will he go quiet?
No.
No.
If you play like some board games or stuff, will he stop doing the
No,
thing?
because if a thought enters his head,
he has to put it out there.
yes, because it is his, and he is therefore out.
What medication isn't he on that he should be?
That's not a medication thing.
I don't think he needs medication.
I mean, okay, give him MDMA when he walks in the room.
No.
No, I'm not even kidding.
That'll make him talk more.
No. Like oxytocin,
MDA maybe.
like just oxytocin, and that comes in a nasal spray. By the way, did you know that?
MDA?
No, oxytocin.
Oh, I don't know.
Just straight oxytocin.
That's concerning.
Crazy.
Why? It's legal in Canada. I have no idea, but I want to try it. Anyways, because the inability to,
But
bond.
can't oxytocin be like a? Couldn't that be used as a date rape drug or some
Why?
sort of weird thing to push consent? Because oxytocin fires up your processes of attachment. Like
Yeah,
if someone start
yeah.
using
It's
that
a
on
bonding.
someone in a bar, that
bonding.
is
It's like a love drug.
That is a
Yeah,
not
it's legit.
That's a way of overcoming someone's normal consent parameters.
Yeah, but so is touching them. Like if you get to a place where like
that's
they're
very
a
different.
place of touch.
Touching is overt and obvious.
Yeah.
Sneaking this nasal spray.
No, I'm not saying
into their
sneak nasal spray. What are we talking about?
No,
here?
no,
I'm
I'm
not saying
I'm-
date rape
I'm
people with
saying it's-
oxytocin.
I'm saying it's. Oh,
How
what
the
the
fuck did
fuck?
we get here?
I'm saying that's one of the reasons that GHB isn't legal.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
But like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if somebody knew that about themselves, that they have difficulty bonding with
Sorry,
people.
Rowan got drugged at a bar a couple months ago. I'm sensitive.
yeah, it's understandable.
I'm on the
But I'm
lookout for
certainly not
drugs to be
saying-
used in such a
Yeah,
way.
Jesus
we
Christ,
needed the
definitely
context
not.
there.
Yeah, that's fair. No,
Yeah.
I heard about it on the Huberman Lab podcast, and I thought it was a very interesting idea that, like, say you wanted to get a bunch of people together and you wanted it to be a bonding experience, you could legitimately introduce low levels of oxytocin synthetically to increase the amount that encounter would have significance. You know what I mean? Which is pretty cool. But anyways, what I was saying is, you know, if you increase their oxytocin, because my guess is pretty low, he might feel more bonded to the people and might value them.
Well, I know
rather
he does
than
value
just valuing
people.
him.
It's just he
Yeah, of
has
course.
no way of showing it.
Yeah.
Because there was a time when I was talking about him similarly to how I am now to my son's mother, and he overheard us talking.
Oh,
and
no.
he was like in tears because he values what I think so much.
Yeah. Huh.
And I was like,
But he has no ability to express
I
it.
would have never guessed that.
Yes.
Right? Like, I would never imagine that he gave a shit what anyone thought.
But
because
the narcissist is ultimately crippled
well,
when they find out that they are not the fortress they think they are.
it's one of the moments that I'll never forget because I came out of the room and he was standing there and he had like a little bit of tears in his eyes. And I tried to apologize to him and he goes, "You weren't wrong about anything you said." And then he just walked off. I was like, holy shit. That's a pretty powerful moment.
Yeah.
It didn't do much good.
Well, like that's the difficulty, right? Because, you know, what you're asking of a person that doesn't have the ability to interact with that thing might be impossible for them, which is unfair because we don't have society, we don't have the ability to take all of those things into account and readjust the way that we interact with every situation perfectly. Like it's really when you have situations like that, like I'm assuming his IQ is probably
He's very, very intelligent.
140.
I wouldn't know the
142.
number, but if you meet him, you'll know exactly what
Yeah.
I mean. Like he's definitely the most intelligent of
Yeah.
the four of us.
And no one would ever look at him and go like, "Man, be less smart." You know what I mean? Like that's one of the ways that we value IQ. But when it comes to an insufficiency in something, as in like you're lower on that spectrum, then all of a sudden it's like, come up. That's the expectation. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't do something well, it's like, well, get on it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like if you have a lower IQ, the pressure is always for them to get smarter, right? And it's the same thing if you have a lower EQ. The pressure on them is to be more like those around you. And that might not be possible.
Yeah, you can see he tries,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like missing
EQ,
cues.
In the EQ world, it's not even about imitation or being like other people. It's learning how other people feel in a given circumstance. It's understanding other people. The more you understand other people, the more your emotional quotient goes up. The more you understand what impact your words and actions have had, the more that EQ goes up. So it's not even a matter of changing.
It's a little more like AI learning.
Yeah, like you're not starting with how you're not starting with my behavior. You're not
How
starting
can I make
with
the humans like me?
yeah. You're not even starting there. You're starting with what makes them tick.
Yeah.
If you start out with what do you call it when you go into nature and observe something, some Jane Goodall crap. But if you do it like you're observing things in their natural habitat, you're first watching how people act to each other, not to imitate their actions and behavior, but understand how their given actions and behavior are affecting the other person. And through that window, there your EQ can rise dramatically with some basic knowledge.
I get the concept. And I think you're onto something in terms of making it relatable in terms of the avenue that they are successful in. So, like, if you take it and you make it more about the intellectual version of researching, and you view reactions as statistics, and you want to change statistics, and then you like, you know what I mean, like translating
It's an
it to a language
intellectual
that you
approach
speak.
to an emotional problem.
Exactly, yeah, because like what he wants intellectually and what he's able to accomplish are probably different, and but if this is one of those things where that's kind of what I'm trying to circle around, is like the idea that if we could shape the language to fit the person better, my guess is they would be more successful within the avenues that they have difficulty. You know what I mean? So like if language is normally communicated through subtlety, and people have to pick up on things like body language and things like that, rather than just saying exactly what you think. You know what I mean? Like if because like he heard you talk and it was understood. Because it's like you didn't have any of the subtlety, you didn't have any of the things that would be normally like perceived. It was just like bare bones, brass tacks. This is what it is. That's translatable to someone that has a high IQ. Those are factors, right? Rather than subtleties and things that might be more empathetic driven.
Easy to miss.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily easy to miss for those who speak that language, but for someone who doesn't speak that language fluently, yeah, they're gonna go right over your head.
See, I've always thought that I was a very dumb person, intellectually.
Okay.
Like, I don't consider myself
Why?
very well, because I didn't do well at showing off my work in school. I could never explain to you how I could get an answer, but I could get the answer. So, like, for example, my memory is very, very good, and I'm incredibly good at math. Like, I can calculate any number very quickly in my head. But I had a very hard time communicating how I would get the answer. So teachers would always think I was like checking the back of a book or something, right? I do it all the time. Like, people spit out numbers and I'm just adding them up. Like, I do math in my head all the time. So I have that, but I'm not able to show off or explain that. And I didn't do well in school. Like, I did the worst in school. I was the only kid that didn't finish high school. I dropped out in grade 12. I got a GED later. But out of all my brothers, I've always felt the most emotionally intelligent of them. I think Dave is close to me in those ways. I also don't think I think he's lower hanging fruit for intellect, and he's got more emotional intelligence. My other two brothers, my younger brother and my older brother, I think they're both very, very intelligent, but neither one of them have that emotional IQ. And my younger brother in particular has no confidence in himself. So even though he's capable, since he has no confidence, it doesn't translate into anything. What I have is the most confidence of any of us. So even though I don't feel particularly gifted, I'll keep trying and trying and trying and make it'll work eventually, right? So sometimes being very, very smart, I feel like, can be a bit of a curse too, because you end up doubting a lot of your other aspects, right? You don't end up confident in yourself or whatever.
Well, because you live in a world that doesn't speak your language.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the difficulties about the structures and systems that we have in place, is that they are for
the lowest common denominator.
it's for the median. You know what I mean? So the people that fall most under the average, that whole bell curve mentality. But, you know, like, people don't all think the same. People don't react the same. And having so you just said something like you don't feel like you didn't, since you didn't do well in school, since this averages thing didn't go well for you, you immediately have the thought that you're not intelligent. Whereas you're describing lots of areas of
not
high
in a
intelligence.
book smart sense.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But no, that's not true. That's in terms of the way that they want those book smarts expressed within this lane. That was not the way that your brain thought.
Right.
But in terms of what, actual measurable intelligence, no, that's not what we're talking about here. That's the difficulty with these types of things is they can't account for all the variables. So you grow up thinking that you're not intelligent because some of these tests in school you didn't do as well as this person who did. And that just means that person fits well within that paradigm, basically. And it sucks that those people end up feeling that way, and you end up getting an identity of, I am that. But it's not necessarily that you are that. It's just that you may not speak that language. And I hope that someday we can be at a place where everybody's language is understood a little bit better.
Well, I mean, it didn't have much of a bad effect on me necessarily because I just went with it.
Yeah.
But I could see it really bothering someone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I could see someone going, I didn't do well at that. I won't do well at this. I just went, yeah, no, that's not my bag, but I can do other things.
Yeah, and the difficulty is not everybody will be able to have that level of acceptance of just this is something I'm not talented at, but I like other things. Some people just get defeated and they go, oh, I'm dumb. And then they live in the world of I'm dumb, whereas they're incredibly talented at something.
And that handcuffs them
confidence-wise, for sure.
Yeah, emotionally and intellectually, in that they are no longer pursuing a series of avenues because they don't feel themselves worthy or capable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one that's driving me nuts right now is just ever since I've been looking more at ADHD and our inability to understand the way that people with ADHD think, and the fact that we are trying to get them back to the way that the average thinks drives me up the wall.
Yeah.
Drives me up the fucking wall. Because it's just one of those no, they just think differently.
Yeah.
They think differently, and this world, the way that we all tend to step-by-step logic, it's not created for their type of thinking. And so therefore the assumption is take this thing to be more like the average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I understand why they want to get everything to an average, because it's hard to make the world accessible for every different type of being, right?
It was,
and your
think
goals
it's less so now.
Your goals may not match your abilities in a particular aspect, and that medication may help you succeed there.
So think of it less okay, yes, but all that we're saying is you have a computer processor that's allowing you to process so many variables, right? Mm-hmm. And as society grows, it allows for more processing of more variables. And it might be difficult, but as society grows and gets more capable and more information and blah, 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 the ability to compute more variables does exist. So I think, 20 years ago, the idea of this was just make them more like the average so our society can remain narrow. But as we're widening, you can start computing more. You can start taking in more factors and making it so that all of a sudden it's this is this, but now we understand how we can take into account people that think like this, people that think like this, and we're going to widen it.
We can train our attention through work without the use of drugs. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, my attention ability was so bad, I would be 5 windrows over with the tractor and would fuck up a chunk of this field just because I had zoned out so completely. I'm driving a piece of equipment in the middle of a field in a straight fucking line, and somehow I've managed to turn and go across the field a couple hundred feet in the wrong direction.
So that used to
without
be
even noticing.
My understanding of ADD, but that's not it.
No.
Right? Because I was diagnosed as ADD when I was young, and I was always thinking, I don't understand this because I'm hyper focus. But really
that's how ADD works as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'll be hyper focused here all day, and I'll go home and try to do 3 small tasks and not accomplish them over 3 hours.
But when I thought of ADD, it was always oh well, I can't focus.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's you
focus. You focus on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention it's
or it comes in bursts, and some things do draw you in consistently for hours at a time, and other times you're a couple lower priority tasks will be unaccomplishable. You'll go in circles around the house and not like be completely unable to do more than 10 seconds of any one of those tasks.
And the funny thing is so say you take that knowledge, what
Yep.
you just described there as in terms of like, this is how my brain functions.
Yeah.
And then we were to take a little bit of time to understand the that executive
Prioritization?
yeah, whatever that is. Man, I forget the name of this every single time. But the ability to start something, because one of the biggest issues with ADHD is you see everything at once.
Yeah.
Right. So everything's coming at once, and the ability to delineate importance is very difficult unless it's given to you. So it's like if someone says, "I need this now," hyper focus. You're good.
Yeah.
But
A guy like that at work that I've always said, if you just kept giving him lists,
yeah, he'll be perfect.
he'll be the best employee
Yes.
ever. But if you leave him to his own devices,
He has no
just
idea where to start. Yes, and that's
just
way more of
vibrating.
that's way more of the population than we understand, because we don't take into account our learning system. We don't take that factor into account. This idea of teaching somebody prioritization for their brain, right? Like if you have everything coming at you at once and you can't understand priority of these things, you will never start because they all have the same value, which is 0.
Man, what you're talking about right now is basically what my life has been.
Yeah.
Because everything that I do on a busy day at work is priority,
Yeah.
right? Get this thing started, move on to this thing,
Yeah.
this thing. You have to have a clear path.
Yeah.
You almost have to think before you move.
Yeah.
Right? And
Well, immediacy gives you the dopamine to move forward towards that.
I've
thing.
found as soon as I am in the moment where I'm going, I'm doing this for money, suddenly the immediacy comes naturally to me.
Yeah, of course, because that's
Yeah.
but that's money's a motivator for you, right?
Exactly.
Whereas there's a lot of people that money isn't.
Right.
So
as soon
if-
as their basic needs are met.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you're at a place where it's like you have an industry that your focus can directly give you the thing that motivates
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hard
Whereas,
to
like-
ask for that from someone who's paid hourly.
Yeah.
No, but,
And-
hou-
but when you
hourly
go
same.
home-
I used to get paid. I was paid hourly for years
Hey,
and years.
hey,
you
I'm
get
more
home-
with you, man.
When you get home, you wash the dishes. That has nothing to do with your money.
That's right.
Immediately, your gratification system
And it's
done.
washing the dishes and push-ups. Which one do I do first? I can't decide. I start both and end
and then
up vacuuming.
don't do either. Yeah, exactly. exactly.
every time, like
Yeah.
legitimately.
Holy shit, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
100%.
so-
No, I'll be reorganizing a fucking shelf in the utility room and go, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I don't remember taking the steps to be here,
Crazy.
but I've made these choices and I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
At least you're aware of it, because I feel
Oh, yeah.
like guy was mentioning at work, he'll like go to do something like we have the paper towel roll, and he'll take the paper towel roll out, he'll go to the back, something will catch his eye, and now this thing is just empty for half an hour.
Yeah.
It's like he's totally forgot that he was doing it.
No, and don't get me wrong. There's standard distraction, right?
Oh my God, I vacuumed
Standard
last
distraction
night in
is a
this
thing.
method.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, that happened yesterday.
No, this guy does this every day.
Yeah, this is
we all
recent.
kind of laugh about it, like, oh, I wonder when he'll be back for that. Like,
But like that is a thing, right? Like you can get distracted. That is and because like one of the things that gets difficult with something like ADHD is like the symptomology of ADHD is common within people that don't have it.
Oh,
So-
yeah, well,
and it's the
that's-
same thing with like depression. It's like, well, I felt sad before. It's like, okay, yeah, you can have factors of something, but what pushes you to the clinical diagnosis of it, that's usually more of
the
an extreme.
more I read about attention itself, the more those acronyms piss me off.
Yeah.
Because we all have attention,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
our
It's in
attention,
degrees.
and especially now that I'm reading that Amishi job book,
Yeah.
Peak Mind.
Yeah, man.
We all have attention,
Yeah.
and it works a certain way. No one just sits there like, oh, I just focus on the things I want to focus on all the
Yeah.
time.
Well,
I
this
just,
is the problem
I just,
with
need-
I'm just
no, that's-
crushing it.
That's not how it works. All of us have a subroutine in our mind that as soon as we hear a leaf crunch in the bush, we think,
Lion.
tiger? I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a quick look. And that basic reflex results in all kinds of things.
But think about it. Importance. A
Yeah.
tiger about to kill
Yes.
kill you is utter importance.
yes,
So it's one of those like, if we could understand our brains better
And
structure
train
learning,
them, work them out.
Exactly. Then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you don't have people wandering around going like, feeling like this world isn't built for them.
yeah.
Because it's not built for them.
No.
Unfortunately, it's built like, and then it just goes like, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, No. And then I also wonder, people that are within those outlier spheres of thinking or the non-neurotypical, I wonder how greatly that affects our society in terms of pushing us forward when we start taking into account the way
You
that
want
they
to talk
think.
about moving forward? Have you read anything about Alberta's curriculum?
Nope.
Okay, so for the
What about
which is
it?
crazy. The past 18,
Morning.
24 months. What time is it?
9:55.
For the past 18, 24 months, Alberta's been pushing this super old school curriculum forward that pushes us into the Stone Ages.
Wouldn't doubt
it's
it.
literally boomers. And like, I've read chunks of the curriculum itself, not just the dogma that's going to try to push it into power. And it is literally a bunch of boomers who are going, I turned out fine. Why wouldn't this work for everybody else?
Yeah.
And it's openly doing their best to go back to reading, writing, arithmetic and sweep any form of flexible learning right under the rug. Modern teaching techniques, we don't need those. That's a waste of our time. We're coddling our children. Fuck those children.
Meanwhile, our children are growing up to live in a completely different world.
That's exactly it. No, there are teachers on strike like every weekend for the past year. They're not on strike, sorry, protesting stuff.
Good.
There's been active involvement in this particular thing this whole time.
That's
Yeah.
wild. Hopefully we keep moving forward. That's my thing.
I would hope.